Welcome to Northern Michigan Update. I'm State Senator Jason Allen. Mike Nystrom, it's nice to have you here with the Michigan Infrastructure and
Transportation
Association.
Yes.
So MITA.
Yes.
And what a great organization they have been as far as advocates on infrastructure and roads and sewer and highways and transportation. And it's an amazing group. So welcome, and tell us a little bit about sort of the different areas you encompass.
Well, thank you very much, Senator. Appreciate having us here. MITA, as you say, is a representative of the heavy construction industry as a whole. We represent road builders, bridge builders, the pavers across the state. We represent the companies digging the sewer and the water lines, distributing the utilities across the state, the electrical, the cable, whatever that might be, and demolition companies. So ultimately, we represent the companies that have all of the heavy equipment. That's the type of company that would belong to us. And then those companies that are affiliated with them, bonding, insurance, equipment type companies. Those are the companies that belong to MITA.
So it's a very big industry, and I think in Northern Michigan we've got companies like Elmer's, Reith Riley, the old H&D, which I think just got purchased and is part of the Reith Riley family now.
Yes, a large number of companies, employers up in Northern Michigan. M&M Excavating. We have Cordes Excavating over in Alpena.
Okay.
So there are a wide swath of them in Northern Michigan.
Yeah. So let's kind of start off with sort of what I would assume is sort of the bread and butter is roads and infrastructure for roads. How has this winter affected us, and what does it mean, because we haven't maybe had enough money to spend on roads?
Well, this has been a big impact on transportation funding. This winter has, not only have we had very large snow events, we've had a couple freeze-thaw cycles, but looking backwards, the challenge really is the history leading up to this winter in terms of the inadequate funding that we've had at both the state and particularly at the local level. We have really seen a lack of investment coming in that could help us to maintain our system to the point where we wouldn't have as much of a pothole season on a regular basis. The locals, they are really struggling. They just aren't getting enough money. And when I talk about the locals, we're talking about the road commissions. We're talking about the municipal public works divisions. Those areas just haven't gotten the adequate funding over the years. So in the end, these big snow events, they pay overtime. They're paying an increased amount for salt. The equipment that they have to have just to keep up with the big events that we've seen, it just isn't enough to keep moving snow around and getting rid of the ice, and then fill the potholes, mow the grass, fix the guardrails, get rid of the trash. Those type of things all take a lot of money.
So when you start talking about this and the different types of infrastructure, on road construction, there's always been sort of a group on talking about asphalt construction and concrete construction, and sort of how does that work in Northern Michigan?
Well, the interesting thing is ultimately I think all groups involved would say, let's grow the pie. You know, let's not worry about how it's cut up at this point. Let's try to grow the pie long term. But there are good places to put asphalt, and there are good places to put concrete. Both industries can survive in Michigan. Because of our freeze-thaw cycle, we take a look at it from the base.
And how does that work? I guess that's probably wasn't so much the debate on between the two different types of technology. You know, with asphalt, you know, you see, like I was driving up to Charlevoix this last weekend, and during all that snow, and it had sort of mounted up in a different way. It sort of rolled because you could feel the vibrations on the road. And whereas like concrete, I noticed when we were on another part of 31, there were the joint expansions, and that's kind of where I was trying to head.
Yeah, they both have different ways of being built. I mean, a road is basically a base of aggregate and sand, and then the pavement on top of it. But you use different depths of the pavement, different depths of the aggregate below it. My guess is in both of those scenarios, they are aged pavements, so they are in need of some significant updates, reconstructions, whatever it might be. In the concrete, you don't see as much of the waving. You see it might break up over time. Concrete or asphalt, you might see a different type of aging where the wear becomes a wave, where the wear becomes cracks and potholes, as we see. Our climate has a lot to do with that. Ultimately, We've seen it this winter. You get big snow events, and then you have a couple days above freezing where the water seeps down in those cracks, gets down in those small potholes. Then it freezes again. As it freezes, it pushes those pavements up. It's expanding. And ultimately, as it expands, other vehicles run over it, press it down, and you're going to take a small pothole. It could become a big one over time.
Wow. Okay, so you talked about sort of how a road is built. And probably most of our listeners and viewers have never, they see an Elmer's truck or a Reith Riley truck going by, but they have no clue. So let's start on some of the basics. Okay, first level, you got to sort of grade the road. Is that how that works?
Yeah. What ultimately happens in a lot of construction nowadays, and this is something I think your viewers should understand. The inadequate investment that we have in Michigan is forcing the agencies, whether it be MDOT or the County Road Commission or the municipality, to, instead of taking out the entire road base, the aggregate and the pavement, and then replacing it with high quality stuff, what's ending up happening is, in order to save money, we are putting ultra thin overlays across the state. So a driver sees orange barrels, sees contractors out there working. They put this thin overlay over an existing roadway that's in rough shape. It seems great for a year or two. Then some cracks start to show through. Those are called transverse cracks. They're going to show up from the old pavement up into the new. Because you have uneven pavement, there's a crack there. New pavement's put over it. That crack's going to show through over time. It is a short-term fix to a much longer-term problem. Here in Michigan, we call that an asset management process. The owner agency is saying, we have this much money, these 5 roads are in real rough shape in the county, we're going to focus our money on those. If we rebuild one of them, that's all the money we have. If we fix or put a Band-Aid on all 5 of them, it's a safer scenario. We extend our money. Maybe we'll get some more money in the future to fix the real problem and going all the way down to the base.
Okay, very good. So we talk about roads, and so we've got sort of the issues of infrastructure that needed to get taken care of there, and a lot of it has been lack of maintenance, but we've got underlayment and those types of things. Talk a little bit about sort of some of the types of things you do in the sewer and water and that type of infrastructure.
Well, we have a number of members across the state, many of them up north, who are putting the water, the sewer lines in place. They're distributing the utilities around northern Michigan. And those companies focus on that underground network. Again, we are in a scenario here in Michigan where we have Great Lakes all around us. We have the smaller lakes throughout the state, our streams. We want to protect these waterways. We have to have adequate infrastructure underground. Right. The challenge is it's not like a road. People drive down the road, they see those potholes, they know how it is. What happens with our sewers, though, is we don't know that they are failing until something drastic happens. We have a sinkhole or a water main breaks during the winter. People hear about those regularly. The challenge is people flush that toilet, they run their washer and their stuff through the sink. If it goes out of their house, I'm good to go. I don't have to worry about the sewers.
Well, it's amazing. We live in a historic neighborhood in Traverse City. And so 2 years ago, they rebuilt the entire sewer infrastructure through because it was the major flow through for a lot of the central part of Traverse City.
Okay.
Does this sound right? They showed me wooden mains.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's amazing how many of those exist throughout the state, and they are literally 50, 75, 100 years old at times, and we still encounter those on a regular basis.
So that's not an infrequent situation.
No, not at all.
It looked like it was a large pine tree that they cut in half. And then they wrapped it in tin. Does that sound right? Oh, yeah. And then painted with tar.
Yes. Yep. That's how they used to do the piping. No question about it. And we encounter this across the state, and yet people quarrel with slight increases in sewer bills, slight increases in water bills. This is the only way that we are going to pay to replace this system that is very aged and falling apart, quite honestly, across our state.
And that is an environmentally sound thing to be doing.
Replacing those, definitely, yes. So what we're putting back in the ground, our industry is focused on green technology. We are doing the training. We are looking into those type of issues on a regular basis.